organizations like UNDP, UNEP, WCS, WWF, and Panthera, just to mention a few. With the GEF 8 program starting to allocate funds to country projects now, there is a unique opportunity for range states to do work on the ground. For Jaguar directly, but also by using Jaguar as a flagship species to achieve larger biodiversity conservation and implement obligations under CBD, CITES, CMS, and of course the newly born Global Biodiversity Framework. The call today brings together focal points from CITES, CBD, CMS, and the GEF, but also attending are representatives of scientific institutions and NGOs working on Jaguar conservation. The fact that so many of you are joining this session just a few days before the holiday season starts demonstrates how important Jaguar conservation is to all of us. With this, I would like to invite Adriana Moreira, who is the Latin America Regional Coordinator of the GEF Secretariat, to take the floor and provide us with an overview of funding opportunities under GEF 8. Adriana's commitment is so great that she is joining us from her holidays. Just a quick note before Adriana takes the floor. We have to apologize that because of the short period that we had and the urgency with which we had to organize this briefing, we could not secure simultaneous interpretation. Adriana will therefore show her slides in Spanish, but she will speak in English. And at the end of her presentation, there will be plenty of time for you to ask questions, and please post them in any language that you feel most comfortable in. And that then also provides an opportunity to clarify any points that may not have come fully across. So we will also have the possibility through our colleague Sandra Petrone to do some translations between English and Spanish. So again, please don't feel shy just to speak in any language that you feel comfortable with. So thank you all for your understanding, and thank you all for joining us today. Adriana, over to you.
Thanks, Clara. Good morning, bom dia, buenos dias a todos. Very happy to be here with you this morning here, maybe afternoon and evening for some of you. Pleasure to be joining this wonderful group. You know, the GEF is very pleased to have been contributing to the conservation of the jaguar across Latin America for many years in many different forms and many projects since the Paseo Pantera projects, you know, and the Mesoamerican Biological Corridor, the biological corridors in Brazil, the Amazon project. So it's been, but we're very glad with this new initiative. And today I'm going to present to you the guidelines of the GEF 8. I see that some of you have been with us in our Latin America workshop that we had in October in Bogota. So maybe it's going to be a repetition for a few of you. But basically, I'm not going to present the entire program because it's quite long. But in discussions with the team, the steering committee, we have decided to focus on the new integrated programs that offer a clear opportunity for projects across the La Ruta del Jaguar in Latin America for all countries that are eligible for receiving GEF funds. So I will share my presentation now, and as Clara said, I'll be glad to answer questions, not only today, but later on you might have on the program and on the process. So just bear with me here with this technology. Let's see this. Can you see my screen well?
Yes, you're still in working mode.
How about now?
Now it's perfect, yeah.
Okay, great. So this is like our vision for GEF 8 towards a more equitable and nature positive, carbon neutral, and world free of contamination in our reconstruction after the COVID pandemic. And this is basically, in a nutshell, the integration of the continuation actually after the GEF7 and GEF6 and GEF7 programming cycles and the program evaluations. This is the guiding principles that have been identified to support this process of the preparation of the GEF8 strategy that has taken many months and consultations with at many different levels, and this is integrated and how the GEF is going to work across institutions, but also across ministries in the countries, environment, agriculture, finance, and the focus on harmonizing policies and financing that make sure that there is a coherent approach to the different threats and challenges that we have in implementing, in designing and implementing environmental projects, that we are to get uh, results that are across all sectors and related to the resilience and the long-term sustainability of the actions. So integrated actions, transformative actions with lasting results. This is basically what has the roots and the basis for the GEF8 strategy. So this is basically the historic of the resources. This has been a groundbreaking replenishment. The cycle is from July 22nd until June 26th. So this next 4 years, we are already 6 months into the cycle, almost 6 months, no? And we have a record break of $5.33 billion from 39 donors. And again, we continue with the star allocation. The star allocations per country are published in the GEF website. And I highly recommend you guys, everybody, to visit the GEF website because there is a wealth of information there. And the strategies of the GEF, of course, are always designed to fulfill its mandate as the implementing agency and the financing agency for the conventions, and responding to these conventions, the environmental conventions, and takes this integrated approach for systems transformation. This is like, again, the basic. If we could resume the entire GEF8 strategy, it's a big summary because it's a 280 pages document. Healthy people, healthy planet, healthy people is the overall approach. And this is building up towards the agreements, and just we came up with the COP yesterday, with the 2030 Global Biodiversity Framework. And so this is the GEF contributing to this overall planetary scenario. We continue work, what you all are very familiar with, the focal areas on biodiversity, climate change, particularly focus on mitigation, land degradation, international waters, and chemicals and waste. We now have, and this is the column of the middle, that's the new and fascinating integrated programs that I'm going to comment in more detail with you. But this is basically the 11 integrated programs that you have, and I'm going to explain more in detail how they work and how we are going to operationalize this entire strategy. We also have the global programs on blended finance, and the small grants program that also many of you are familiar with. And also we have on the bottom this cross-cutting approaches. How of circular economy, nature-based solutions, gender, resilience, and an important involvement of the private sector in our projects and actions. Now I'm going to go into as I mentioned, the integrated programs. And the integrated programs come as an important mechanism in the GEF 8 to increase the change, to generate more learning, more cooperation, more South-South collaboration, and also to emphasize the importance of the policy coherence at the national and subnational level, long-term funding and programmatic approach to funding, and focusing on institutional strengthening, expansion, and solidifying important actions, programs, and institutions in all countries that receive the GEF funds. So I will start, as I mentioned to you, today I'm going to talk to you about 4 important programs that we call IPs, or integrated programs, that are very relevant for Jaguar conservation and all the objectives and long-term vision that you have in the Jaguar initiative. I will start what we call the program for the critical forest biomes. And in the case of Latin America, particularly focusing on the Mesoamerican forest and the Amazon basin. Here in the screen, you have my colleagues that are responsible for this program. And I think this is an information that's very important. At the end, I will have a list of the IPs and each one of my colleagues who is responsible for that, because that will be the main contact person for the technical information regarding each IP. The other thing is that this presentation will be made available to all of you. We also have a very complete full presentation in English in the site, so that you have as much as possible all the materials available to you for information on the programs. So basically, we don't need to justify this important program, but the primary forests across the planet, they are crucial, not only for biodiversity conservation, but also for the carbon and all the climate change impacts related to the loss of these forests. You have, like we already have a picture of one of our key species in this forest, that's the jaguar here. So these are very important biomes, not only for us in Latin America, but globally. So in this IP, we have the goal to maintain the integrity of this globally important tropical forest and maximizing the global benefits related to carbon and biodiversity. And the idea is to increase through this IP, strengthen the protection and the governance of these landscapes, these forest lakes, tackling at drivers of deforestation and forest degradation, adopting a jurisdictional approach in many different areas, and considering all different types of protected areas, indigenous lands, other effective area-based conservation measures, and with promoting enabling conditions on a multi-scale and multi-stakeholder governance for policy coherence, incentives, mechanisms to conserve, participation important participation of indigenous peoples and local communities, and the regional cooperation and coordination across countries, fomenting the connectivity through establishment of corridors. So this is a very, very important program for the Jaguar initiative. And as I mentioned, this is basically what we have for this IP, what we call the criteria for selection of the national projects. I'm going to explain after this introduction on the technical aspects of each IP. I'm going to explain how the IPs work, but we have the individual national projects that are selected through what we call expressions of interest. And these are for this IP, the criteria that we are looking for, uh, but on the important countries to participate. So first of all, of course, the country has to elect to participate in the IP, but what are the opportunities for co-financing? What will be the potentials for expansion, sustainability, sharing lessons, and the aggregated value of the approaches. This is, in a sense, a great opportunity because this IP is based on the geographies. So we have already a list of the countries that are eligible. And this is the largest IP under GEF 8. So it's divided in 5 areas. And this is IP is the only one that's going to have 5 different program framework documents, that the document that defines the program and where the child projects are connected. So we will have the Amazon, the Congo Basin, the Indo-Malayan forest, and Mesoamerican. The Congo Basin also associated with the Guinean forests. Basically, this is the what we are expecting of the program framework documents in terms of designing these platforms for coherence and synergy across the projects, this policy support, and the support, the focus also on the involvement of this private sector as a way also to mobilizing resources, big focus on monitoring and evaluation, and communication and coordination. So basically, as I mentioned before, these are the eligible geographies. So for the Amazon, we have Brazil, Colombia, Bolivia, Peru, Suriname, Guyana, Ecuador, and Venezuela are eligible countries to present projects under this IP. And also in the Mesoamerican, we have Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, Belize, Costa Rica, Panama, and Nicaragua as eligible countries. And this is very important because these are the only IPs that are geographically defined. The other IPs I'm going to comment are global IPs. So it's very important that the countries that are eligible for this critical forest IP consider the possibility of presenting projects under this IP, because the others you will face global competition. This one, the geography is already defined. So I'm just highlighting the countries and the IPs that are under in Latin America, but you can also see the geographic scope of the other regions. Again, one important aspect of the integrated programs, as I mentioned in the beginning, is to generate results in more than one focal area. And that's why they combine results from the star allocation and the incentive. I'm going to explain that in detail. Uh, but the idea is to generate results. These are the core indicators of the GEF 8, and these are estimated, okay? For the different IPs, we did the exercise of estimating how much we expect that the IPs will contribute in terms of the different indicators. But for protected areas created or under improved management, for these critical IPs, 54 million hectares. Restoration also is eligible under this IP, 1 million hectares. In landscapes with improved practice, 43 million hectares, and then the estimated emissions reductions, mitigation, and we also looking at improved management of shared water ecosystem. This is basically the Amazon basin is a very important aspect of the water ecosystem there, also in the Congo basin, and also contributing to the reduction of chemicals of global concern and the waste, and particularly the case of mercury and artisanal gold mining. That's an issue in many of these tropical forest ecosystems. So in a nutshell, this resumes very much these are expected results. Of course, these results will be again estimated after we have the projects and during implementation and throughout the process. But it's just to indicate that the arrangement of each IP is being considered to maximize results more than one focal area. Delivering results in biodiversity conservation, delivering results, and in land degradation, delivering results in climate change, international waters, and chemicals and waste. Now I'm going to move to another important IP for the Jaguar Conservation, and this one is being designed based on an existing program that's the builds up upon the Global Wildlife Program. This is a global integrated program. The Global Wildlife Program, GWP, has projects now in over 30 countries, spread throughout Africa, Asia, and also in Latin America. In Latin America, all the projects are focusing on Jaguar conservation under GEF 7 particularly. I have the privilege, together with my colleague Hannah Farbank, to lead this IP. And this is another opportunity for projects related to Jaguar conservation. So basically, the IP again is designed to produce multiple benefits, including the conservation of globally important biodiversity, restoration of key wildlife habitats, reductions of and avoidance of greenhouse gas emissions. And also there is an important aspect of human wildlife health that I'm going to mention. And this is the overall vision for this IP. And also we have now more specific the objectives, and they are threefold and quite interconnected. To increase wildlife populations, and their ecological connectivity and integrity of wildlife landscapes, reduction on the risk of zoonotic spillover, and contributing to increase the sustainable benefits from wildlife and landscapes to local populations and to indigenous peoples and local communities. This slide summarizes the entire approach of this integrated program. under the umbrella concept of the Healthy Planet, Healthy People concept. The goal and objectives of the IP will be achieved to three components on the left side, and related activities that you have in the middle, while emphasizing a set of cross-cutting themes that you have in the bottom. So we are focusing on, as I mentioned, three components: human-wildlife coexistence that will support countries to extend the integrity and to conserve the connectivity of key wildlife uh, landscapes, deploy actions and policies to reduce zoonotic spillover, and avoid and mitigate human-wildlife conflict. So you have in the middle column the main actions, the three main actions of this first component. And then in the second component on illegal and high-risk wildlife trade, this component takes a supply chain approach to curbing poaching, disrupting trafficking, and reducing demand for illegal and unsustainable and also high zoonotic risk wildlife within and between countries. And the third component, wildlife for food parity, strives to ensure that local communities and governments value and invest and benefit from wildlife and habitat conservation, including the recovery of nature-based tourism, landscape restoration for connectivity, and diversification of sustainable livelihoods, private sector engagement for building sustainable wildlife-based economies. So, and we now, these components, we are also striving to focus on cross-cutting issues on behavior change for demand reduction. Knowledge management in all aspects is one of the strengths of this program, gender considerations and the benefits to indigenous peoples and local communities. Excuse me. So this is basically the global platform for the program is constructed towards these objectives, because all the IPs, and again, the wildlife IP represents very clearly the importance of coordinated action. We have in our IPs through the lead agencies that lead each IP, I'm going to explain that later, develop a global platform or a regional platform for enhancing the achievements of the individual child projects, national projects. So we are, in terms of the structure of the IP, and this is valid for our IPs, we envision one child project per country to support a global platforms that delivers these critical functions. This is not a comprehensive list, but this just to highlight the importance of working together and these projects being part of these integrated programs, this programmatic approach, so that we have the aspects of monitoring and evaluation, capacity building, knowledge management and learning, the multi-sectoral approaches for these actions of the program, the behavior change, and always focusing on promoting a very strong and long-term collaboration at all levels among the GEF agencies, intersectoral, regional, and global. And we've particularly focused in uh, data analysis and transparency and communication. So this is very much what we expect the program platform in the case of the global wildlife program already exists a platform that will be improved and expanded under GEF 8 and have been already delivering these services to the countries that participate in the program. So this is basically, again, as I mentioned before, this is a global IP. So we have this selection criteria for the countries participating in the IP. In the previous IP that I presented on the critical forest biomes, there is a geographic definition of the eligible countries. In the case of this IP, all countries are eligible in principle, but we are going to focus on these aspects, particularly on the role of the country in supply chains, presence of high poaching risk, increasing or emerging threats to illegal trade, potential benefits from wildlife-based economies, the potential to cooperate and the willingness to cooperate with other countries, and the opportunity for producing multiple benefits and testing and scaling up innovations. And we already have, as I mentioned, a robust set of countries under the Global Wildlife Program, but we would like to build on this, particularly in Latin America, filling the gaps and enhancing engagement at the specific objectives of the WCDAP for and key countries in increasing the participation of key countries along this criteria. And again, this is the last slide on this IP, just to highlight the multiple benefits. We also did the exercise of estimating to which of the GEF core indicators this IP we contributed. So we expect the projects to deliver results on the biodiversity, on the restoration, on also on emission reductions and sustainable practices across landscapes. Again, the numbers are there. So this is to reinforce the message that the national projects, the child projects, need to focus in more than one focal area and deliver results at different levels through the GEF core indicators. Well, this is the last IP that I'm going to present, and it's another opportunity, particularly the focus on restoration and restoring habitats and connectivity of these habitats that are very relevant for the objectives of the Jaguar initiative. This is basically the context of the justification for this IP are the degraded areas, and one of the bases is where these degraded areas are and how and the importance of them to biodiversity conservation and also for the reduction of emissions and mitigation of greenhouse gases. And of course, to contribute to reducing the impact of this land degradation. So the main objective is to generate, again, multiple environmental and socioeconomic benefits, applying integrated landscape approaches for restoration of degraded lands and ecosystems. And this objective certainly contributes to the GEF's overarching goal to achieve healthy and resilient ecosystems and fostering green recovery and secure livelihoods, again, with the cross-cutting healthy people, healthy planet framework. This program is multi-objective and multi-criteria selection. Again, is a global program. It doesn't have defined geographies. And focusing on, again, mobilization of resources, interested parties, institutional and governance, and involvement of private sector. So the way to intervene are basically technical assistance, programmatic approach for policy mobilization, for policy coherence, and mobilization of resources, and engagement with the private sector. These are like the basis of the strategy for this IP. And it's very aligned, this integrated program for ecosystem restoration, to the UN decade on ecosystem restoration, and aims to support the global committees that the countries have toward restoration under the multilateral environmental agreements, and it mobilizes a diverse coalition of stakeholders from all relevant sectors, catalyzing finance and fostering global collaboration in this area, global cooperation in this area. Ecosystem restoration is the process of assisting the recovery of ecosystem types and habitats that have been degraded, damaged, or destroyed. It encompasses a continuum of activities that contribute to protecting intact ecosystem and repairing degraded ecosystems. So restoration can change from rehabilitating and improving ecosystems under human use to restoring disturbed natural ecosystems to their natural end, ensuring their conservation. So restoration for us is a key nature-based solution that has both economic, environmental, and social benefits. Restoration can actually contribute directly to green recovery by stimulating investments, creating jobs in rural areas, and helping secure livelihoods of local communities. So these are some of the aspects that are really important to be considered under this program, as I mentioned, this selection for the national child projects. Again, this in focus on ecosystems, and we are very much based on the criteria and optimization developed by Bernardo Strasbourg and colleagues on a paper recently published, where we have the critical areas for restoration across the ecosystems globally. I'll show a map very soon in the next slides. But we also will consider what are the perspectives, or which are the areas that can deliver more benefits and biodiversity, sustainable management of land, and adaptation to climate change among the criteria. So degraded natural forest landscapes, dry lands, grasslands, and pastures, they're all eligible for this. Degraded agroecosystems in mosaics with landscapes that have very high potential for delivering these multi-benefits. And so these are all areas that are relevant for this IP. And again, focusing on also initiatives that are able to deliver benefits, concrete benefits to local actors, particularly indigenous peoples and local communities, along the empowerment of women and youth. So here are the areas that are a priority for this ecosystem, these integrated programs, and you can see throughout Latin America, particularly the areas in red, are the focus. So all Mesoamerica, the Andes regions, and the regions of the Chaco, Pantanal, and Cerrados and Atlantic Forest in the South America. So again, as I explained before, this is much more concentrated. The selection based on the critical areas that were presented in the map before, integration of objectives, increased monitoring, and the innovation and the relationship with the private sector are very important aspects to be considered under the program framework document. So this is basically what the program framework document also will consider all these activities of outreach and communication, knowledge generation and exchange, support to policies, mobilization of finance, and monitoring and evaluation, and creating this global platform uh, to increase cooperation synergies and to increase the scale of the impact. So this is basically also the criteria for child projects. Again, projects that promote policy coherence. We also have the ones that are integrating spatial land use planning, particularly for connectivity, and include also participatory land use strategies. These are highly desirable. Mobilization of local communities and civil society organizations is also an element of the criteria for selection of national projects. Capacity building, focus on capacity building, monitoring and information. Uh, uh, Activities that aim at resolving land tenure issues and resource use rights are also one of the important elements in this program. And the implementation of the restoration activity solution on the grounds by involvement, generation of jobs, and particularly of local actors, smallholders, is also a very important element. And of course, scaling up of existing payment for environmental services initiatives and mechanisms that already prove their importance in terms of restoration of ecosystems. Those are all elements that are being taken into consideration for the selection of proposals for this IP. Again, same as the previous IPs, this is just an estimate and an idea of how we are expecting that the integrated programs will deliver results in all the different basic indicators, core indicators of the GEF. So restoration, so we have targets for uh, restoration for this IP, improve management of landscapes, and reduction or emissions avoided, and also freshwater ecosystems under new or improved cooperative management. So these are basically, again, just as a reminder, the importance of delivering multiple benefits and multiple results under the different focal areas of the GEF for the integrated programs. Okay, now I have stopped with the technical and the basic information on the IPs, and now I'm going to give you an overview on how this work in operational terms. So what are the process, okay, that we are envisioning? And we have a very tight timeline, so we need to get this going very soon, and we're already doing. So here I have basically all countries are eligible to participate, and it's very important that they take into consideration these IPs. And we have the contribution of the countries are defined in the star allocations. So the GEF is demand driven by the countries. So we have, each countries have the decision on how they want to allocate their star. We at the Secretariat are available to discuss the different strategies, and we have defined here, and I'm going to show you the different amounts for this coordination platforms and the process on this. First, we have a the expression of interest, and then how we're going to go with the selection process, and how how the process is organized. So here basically is the financing available for this is a total of 1.6 billion dollars, and this is how, basically how we're getting the contribution for the IPs. This is our estimates. Okay, very important to understand that these numbers might change as they changed under the GEF 7 when we actually did the implementation of the integrated programs. But we are estimating 855 million under biodiversity, 270 million under climate change, and 260 million under land degradation. There is also the areas non-star that we already have from the set aside some estimates for international waters over $120 million, and from the chemicals and waste, 26 million. So, and this is what it's coming for the national projects, and below we have the contribution from the focal areas to the platforms, to the coordination of each IP, again, divided by focal area. But these are estimates. This is just to as a way of showing how much emphasis the new strategy for GEF 8, the programming directions, and this was all approved by the GEF Council, are putting on the integrated programs. And with the full flexibility that we have also of the focal areas now under the GEF 8 and under the star allocation, we really are expecting that these integrated programs will have a big impact on the new programming for the GEF 8. So now we have here by integrated program. So we will see the last line is for the Amazon and the Congo and the critical forest ecosystems. As I mentioned, is the largest one with 313 million projected. I just presented to you the wildlife one, that's 118 million, and the ecosystem restoration, 103 million. They are both in the middle of this table. So you can see that these are really relevant resources for these programs. So as again, there is full flexibility between the focal areas. So this is an important aspect for all the people involved in the programming, the star resources for each country. Then a very important aspect of the IPs is the incentive, it's called the incentive. For every $3 from the star allocation, you have $1 of incentive to be part of the integrated program. So this is very important for these IPs, and I'll show you here in the next slide an example of how the countries can program their resources in order to maximize their star allocations by participating in an integrated program. The first example you have, it's completely aleatory. You have a project that is allocating equal amounts under the three focal areas under the star allocation. So $2 million under the BD, biodiversity, $2 million under climate change, and $2 million from the land degradation. And then usually you would have a $6 million project. But by joining an IP, by being part of this integrated approach and joining this coordinating platform, you will have a project of 8 million because you get 2 million incentive. the other example is in the same premises, just different amounts that you have different allocations, and that's very doable. You have a project with a 9 million allocation under the STAR, 5 million biodiversity, 3 million climate change, 1 million on degradation, and then you have with the incentive a $12 million project. So it's really an opportunity to maximize and increase the amount and make larger projects that have more impact on the ground. We need to have for each IP allocations of at least 2 focal areas. Okay, so you cannot do an integrated program just allocating funds under biodiversity, for example. You need to have at least, you can be different amounts. You can have the majority of the amount under biodiversity, but you need to have an element under the star of climate change or land degradation. So you have to have allocations of at least 2 focal areas in order to get the incentive for participating in an integrated program. So I think that's clear. I hope that's clear. So now we already selected the lead agencies for each of the programs, and they have been announced and approved by this last council that ended in November, actually December 1st. So for the Amazon, the lead agency is the World Bank, and for Mesoamerica, the lead agency is IUCN. For the wildlife program, the lead agency is the World Bank. And for the ecosystem restoration program, integrated program, the lead agency is Conservation International. So these 3 agencies are very relevant for the Jaguar initiative, and I highly recommend that you engage with them because they will be leading these integrated programs that are most important for the Jaguar initiative. So the lead agencies are responsible for all of this, the preparation and presentation of the program framework document, all the processing, all the reporting and the monitoring across the program. They will provide a technical assistance to the countries for the preparation and for the revision and the selection of the expressions of interest. And also they support the design of the child projects once selected in the countries. And they also responsible at the level of the coordination and overall supervision of the program, establishing a governance system for the program, and also the alignment and integration of all the child projects. But now I want to say a very important thing. The lead agencies for each of the IPs have already been selected, and again is the World Bank for Amazon and Wildlife Program, IUCN for Mesoamerican forests, and Conservation International for the Ecosystem Restoration IP. But the lead agencies, the implementing agencies for the child projects, each country, each government selects which from the 18 agencies that the GEF works with, which one you want to help, you want to have the support for the preparation of the child project. So the only pre-selected agencies are the lead agencies for the integrated programs. The implementing agencies for the national programs have to be selected and indicated at the expression of interest phase. Okay, so I'm almost done. So just bear with me, we're almost there. And So the participation of the countries is of utmost relevance for the success of the IPs. All the IPs, the integrated programs, are open for consideration for the countries. Then we will have to follow the eligibility criteria that I mentioned before. And this selection is based on the potential of maximizing the global benefits, the global environmental benefits for each IP. So this is overall very important issue considerations for the entire process. So now we are in the process of expression of interest. So countries have been invited to analyze. We have been doing this through the regional workshops. We already did the 2 workshops in Africa, 1 workshop in Latin America, 1 in Central Europe. We have 2 more for islands and Asia programming for January, beginning of January. So the first phase, we're going to have the expression of interest. It's not the concept of the project yet. It's a very simplified element. We have the template. For that, the template is specific for each IP, for each integrated program. So the countries will inform that they are interested, more, an estimated amount of their star allocation that they want to allocate to that specific child project and that specific IP. This process will allow for the GEF Secretariat to evaluate what are the interests in terms of the countries, the eligibility, of course, and also to allocate the existing budget for the IPs, and particularly focus on the incentives. So this is a very important process. No letters of endorsement are required at this stage. The EOI templates are going to be available and sent to all agencies and operational focal points of the GEF by 16th of January 2023. And we are expecting the deadline for receiving the expression of interest submission is by February 17, 2023. So these are 2 very important dates. The templates will be available in January 16, and you have 1 month to prepare with the support of your selected implementing agency to present the expression of interest. It's a very simple document, less than 10 pages, 8 pages maximum, I think. And this no letter of endorsement, and this is for us to define you know, how each IP will look like. Then we will go into the phase of the preparation of the concepts. That's the child project, together with the program framework document that need to be submitted to the GEF Secretariat by April 12th for the June Council. And then also we will have a new calendar for the IPs that decide to present their programs for the December Council. But our estimates is that most IPs will be presented either in June or January of 2023. Okay, some of the global IPs have 2 phases, are projecting 2 phases. So a first batch of countries for the June Council and then a second batch for the December Council. That's possible. But the geographical defined IPs, as the one that I mentioned here for Amazon and Mesoamerican, are expected to present it in just 1 batch. So this is basically how it works. And again, just a summarizing of the process. So the template for the expressions of interest, as I mentioned, February 17 will be available. This is the countries work with their selected implementing agencies on these templates for the expression of interest. They send to the Secretariat. Actually, the OFP is the one that sends. Okay, the OFP needs to sign off on the template, and they the deadline for that is February 17. And then we will have a committee within the Secretary, and this is going to be a very short turnaround. Information on the countries that they have been selected in order to prepare the concept notes for the child projects. And again, then the lead agencies will be responsible for the preparation of the program framework documents through consultation with the participating countries and the implementing agencies, support to the preparation of the concept notes of the child projects, and the preparation of the entire platform. We hope this is a very interactive process with full participation of the countries. I have had the experience previously of putting together some IPs, and I find one of the lessons learned is the upstream engagement of the country teams on the preparation of the platforms. It's been very substantial, very important for the sustainability and the level of ownership of the programs. So we highly encourage this upstream engagement. And this is more or less, again, how we're going to do this process with the platforms. And again, these program framework documents can be presented. We are expecting for this first year, either for the June Council or the December Council. And this will include a strong and a lot of interaction between the GEF Secretariat. The staff is also a lot of support this, and the lead agency with the process of preparation, and also the countries and their respective implementing agencies that they select for each project. And here, as a final slide, is the whole team behind this. So we have our overall coordination under Mohamed Bakar and Claude Gascon at the Secretariat. And I just want to highlight again the ecosystem restoration integrated program. The leader is Urit Appel, my colleague. Myself and Hannah, we lead the wildlife IP. And the Amazon and Mesoamerican IPs are led by Pascal Martinez. These are all the emails, and that's the best way to contact. With that, I'll stop here and open for questions. I hope you know, it was clear, but we can always and again, the presentation will be available to you all, and I highly recommend that you take a look at the specific programming directions for these IPs under the GEF website. Sorry. Again, I'm coming back. And I have you know, I'm available now for questions, but it's not only today, but we can do this later on an individual basis. Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Adriana, for this very comprehensive presentation, and a lot of information, certainly for those who are not so familiar with the GEF, but certainly very useful. So thank you very, very much. Yeah, I don't want to take more space if there are any questions. And again, please ask them in any language that you feel comfortable in.
I know it's a lot to digest. Many people here have a lot of experience with the GEF, others don't. But again, I just want to reiterate the availability of the Secretariat, myself and my colleagues, to support you all.
Very much. Well, Juan Carlos from the CITES Secretariat.
Thank you, Clara. Just to say thank you very much, Adriana, for the explanation. And perhaps to repeat what Clara said in Spanish for those following from the region. Vamos a abrir una sesión de preguntas para que puedan preguntar a Adriana y a los colegas del GEF lo que ustedes consideren conveniente. Muchos de ustedes no son puntos focales GEF y el vocabulario es nuevo, Adriana, pero alguna pregunta ya había sobre la elegibilidad de los países. Creo que sobre eso hay preguntas y sería bueno tener ese calendario que tú presentaste en un slide para que lo recibamos todos, porque los plazos son muy cortos. Entiendo que los países ya están trabajando y también ver cómo podemos alinear las diferentes iniciativas que hay tras las COPs de CITES y CBD y las decisiones también que involucran a CMS y a la iniciativa 2030. Hay una participación muy nutrida y vemos algunas manos, así que pronto puedes recibir preguntas en español para que respondas en español o portuñol y en inglés también.
Sí, claro, con gusto.
Yo tengo una pregunta. Thank you, Juan Carlos. There is a question, a raised hand from Moreira, latest.
Sí. Bueno, muchas gracias por la sesión. Para empezar, quería hacer una pregunta sobre, no me quedó muy clara, creo que entendí, pero quisiera confirmar si entendí, lo de cuando dijo que para calificar a un programa integrado debe tener alocación de 2 áreas focales. Eso sería alocación que el país le da parte de sus fondos de 2 áreas focales, o que el proyecto en sí tiene que caer en 2 áreas focales. Esa es la parte que no me quedó muy clara.
Ok, si hay más preguntas, yo puedo tomar 2, 3 y después, pero no, yo puedo responder y puedo responder en portuñol y después puedo intentar a traducir al inglés, pero si así es mejor para todos. Bueno, en términos de esta pregunta que ya tenemos, estoy específicamente mencionando cada país recibe su Star Allocation y la Star está definida por área focal. Un monto en biodiversidad, un monto en climate change y un monto en degradación de tierras. Entonces, la naturaleza de los programas integrados requiere que cuando el país presente su propuesta a través de la expresión de interés, la expresión de interés es básicamente, quiero participar en este programa, una idea del proyecto, claro que tiene que estar conformado a las definiciones de cada programa, como presenté, y pretendo alocar X monto de biodiversidad, X monto de degradación de tierras o X monto de cambio climático desde mi alocación STAR. ¿Okay? Porque cada país recibe un monto grande para cada área. Entonces, los proyectos tienen que tener estas alocaciones y necesitamos a lo mínimo dos áreas focales para cada proyecto. Las agencias tienen mucha plática con eso, tienen mucho conocimiento en eso, entonces yo sugiero que un enlace con la agencia implementadora. In English, yes, the projects need to be presented for participation under the integrated programs. They need to have from their STAR allocation an allocation for at least 2 focal areas. So either be biodiversity, and in the case of the Jaguar initiative, I think we always have allocation on the biodiversity. That makes a lot of sense. And either climate change or land degradation to complement, or both. That will depend on the ambition and the level of the project that the country expects, and also the activities. Because, for example, the restoration activities, they always deliver results on the climate change and land degradation. So that's related to the amount you put there. So it will depend on the emphasis that the project wants to put. But this is something that needs to be discussed with the implementing agency that the country selects. The GEF has 18 implementing agencies, and in close collaboration also with the lead agency. Thank you. More questions. I see Thais. I don't see everybody, so Clara, help me, please.
Yes, Thais.
Thanks, Clara.
Oi, Thais. Tudo bom?
Oi, tudo bom? Muchas gracias, Adriana, por esa presentación. Yo soy Thais Narciso, soy gestora de proyectos GEF en las áreas focales de biodiversidad y degradación de tierras de PENUMA, y nos complace también formar parte de la iniciativa 2030 de Jaguares. Gracias en especial a los colegas de CMS y de CITES por organizar esa importante reunión. Muy feliz con la participación de tantas personas de la región. Hemos visto, Adriana, que, o sea, los puntos de entrada para trabajar la perspectiva de conservación de jaguares desde un abordaje integrado son muchísimos, ¿no? O sea, hay muchos programas integrados que se puede abordar. Y yo quisiera saber, o sea, si terminamos con interés en trabajar la dinámica de jaguares desde distintos programas, Amazonía, Mesoamérica, restauración, vida silvestre, ¿podríamos fomentar una especie de articulación entre esos programas integrados en el sentido de tener una línea de gestión de conocimientos para los países sobre jaguares, para fortalecer la coordinación regional entre programas integrados, si al fin los países optan por ventanas muy distintas para trabajar esa temática? Era una pregunta que yo tenía. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Thais. No, es una importante consideración. En verdad, ya tenemos una, ¿cómo se dice? Un deseo, ¿no? Un interés que haga una cooperación entre y cross-cutting entre los programas integrados. Entonces, por ejemplo, si tenemos un tema unificador como la conservación de los jaguares, como menciona, esto es muy deseable. Hay distintas formas de hacerlo. Una forma es a través de, nuevamente, hay que tener un enlace importante upstream con la agencia líder de cada IP y discutir. Mi sugerencia es que ustedes presenten el programa, la meta de la iniciativa de Jaguares a estas 3 agencias líderes que tienen para estos IPs, que es el Banco Mundial, la IUCN y la Conservación Internacional. Y un otro aspecto importante que quería subrayar es que entre los Child Projects y los proyectos nacionales para participación de los programas integrados, hay el requerimiento que uno componente del proyecto sea para cooperación, gestión de conocimiento y integración. Entonces, los países tienen que alocar recursos bajo a este componente, entonces es una node entry point importante para esta coordinación hecha desde abajo para arriba, ¿ok? Desde los países a la coordinación de la iniciativa. Pero mi idea es, mi sugerencia es abordar esto de los 2 puntos, a través de los Child Projects con esta alocación de recursos ahí para la participación del país en esta integración y desde arriba con el enlace con las agencias líderes de cada uno de los programas integrados. Wow, the question was how we can support the Jaguar initiative with projects spread through these different integrated programs. And the question came from Thais Narciso. My response is that are 2 levels for that. Of course, will be something done informally through the projects and through the integrated programs. It's highly desirable. We already stimulating and we already have, for example, the Amazon program under GEF 7 and the wildlife program under GEF 7 have had a strong collaboration in terms of connectivity. Okay, so this has been an area of integration across integrated programs that's highly desirable from the GEF Secretariat. So I recommend that engagement at the level of the lead agencies for each IP. In the case of the Jaguar initiative, the most suitable IPs that I mentioned in my presentation, and there are only 3 agencies, the World Bank for Amazon and wildlife, IUCN for the Mesoamerican programs, and ecosystem restoration with Conservation International. But also at the level of the child projects, we have a specific component for cooperation, regional cooperation, integration, coordination, monitoring, and evaluation. So that could be done from bottom up, from the engagement at the level of the national projects, and from the top down at the level of the engagement with the overall integrated program at the level of the lead agencies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adriana. I can't see another hand up at the moment.
Clara, may I ask you, thank you, Adriana, again, and you mentioned the 3 leading agencies. Do you have this nice table that you have for the GEF? Who are the contacts in these agencies for the parties? Do you have names or of leading persons in those agencies that are leading in these areas?
I don't have it right now, but I can send it later. But for the World Bank wildlife is Lisa Faraway. For the Amazon is Ana Maria Gonzalez, but we can certainly send the information by mail. And at the Conservation International is Miguel Morales. We can have that in the emails.
Thank you. Yes, I think that would be very, very, very useful. Okay, well, we have also actually come to the end of our planned session. So I would like to, thank Adriana once again for making this presentation during your holidays, and well, to all of you for also, I see there's another question, to all of you for having joined us. Shirley Ramírez.
Buenos días y buenas tardes, ¿cómo están? Yo quería hacer un comentario más que todo del un tema de fondo en cuanto y una recomendación tal vez para los implementadores que estamos en el gobierno. Ahorita tenemos con el nuevo marco de biodiversidad, tenemos que todos nuestros países hacer las actualizaciones de las estrategias nacionales de biodiversidad. Importante que puedan pensar en incluir estos temas desde ya ahí, porque eso podría darle muchísima fuerza al estar incluidas como un tema, un eje, una línea, y esto está completamente vinculado con las nuevas metas globales que están salidas del horno, todavía están calientes, creo, para que las puedan ir analizando. Ya nosotros estamos acá en Costa Rica haciendo los análisis, porque el otro año ya comenzamos con esta nueva actualización y esta nueva al final los problemas globales siguen siendo los mismos, pero sí hay que ajustar un poquito y esto sería una ventana de oportunidad para hacerlo. Nada más, gracias.
Excelente, Shirley. Muchas gracias. Muy buen punto de recomendación. Y eso toca directamente en el tema que he discutido para todos los IPs de la coherencia de las políticas y el impacto en las políticas. Y para los reportes y todo eso, sabes que tenemos ahora hay las enabling activities del GEF, ¿no? Que apoya estos procesos de relatoría y también tenemos una ventana exclusiva ahora ya de early action para apoyo a las primeras procesos ahora para la Global Biodiversity Framework. Y ya con el apoyo del PNUD, ya tenemos esto con más de 100 países, ¿no? Entonces es muy buena recomendación, muchas gracias, porque yo creo que la inserción de estos aspectos relacionados a la conservación del jaguar en estas es una otra opción a nivel de políticas y de objetivos nacionales. Muchas más gracias. Shirley suggested that we take opportunity of the NBSAP process and all the reporting process and the structuring of the GBF at the national level. That's an excellent idea, particularly touches very much in the policy cohesion and the policy impacts that we are aiming with all the IPs, and it's an important aspect of the GEF 8 strategy. I just reminded that we have the funding for the enabling activities for these reports. We also had opening a new window for immediate support to the GBF that's already been operated by UNDP. It was a significant amount was approved in the first meeting of the GEF Council for GEF 8 of this past December 1st. So this is an excellent suggestion by Shirley that I really also recommend that you take a look. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. And yeah, unless there's any other question, comment.
Thank you so much. I just want to say some closing words. We are very much at your disposal at the GEF Secretariat. And this is, you know, very relevant for us. And I hope I have answered and provide information, but any questions you might have, just reach out to us. I will send the complementary information on the timeline and the names of the contacts at the lead agencies as requested during this meeting. And I wish you all happy holidays and very good times with your families. Feliz Navidad y feliz Año Novo. Feliz Natal y feliz Ano Novo a todos. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much, Adriana.
Thank you, Adriana.
Thank you.
That was really good. Thank you so much. Obrigada.
Thank you.
Tchau,
Feliz
gente.
Navidad.
Beijo.
Thank you for
Tchau.
Natalie.
Feliz Navidad.
Beijo,
Tchau,
Merry
bom
tchau.
Christmas.
Natal.
Muchas
Thank you
gracias.
all.
Christmas.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for everything. Bye bye. See you soon.
Muchas gracias también. Hasta pronto.
Gracias, hasta luego.
¿Dónde está el stop recording button? Dale ahí.
Aquí,
Sí.
esto es stop record. No, start. Ah, ¿y stop dónde es? Es
No
que el
sé,
problema
debe
es
haber
que,
un
mira,
sitio
hace
de-
2 horas que estoy grabando y no puedo parar. Ese es de zurdo, es con la otra. Esta es la... Stop recording.